Hello everyone, this is Kaushik Kumar, the HOD of Verbal at SRIRAM Law Academy. As you may all know, the reading sections and the verbal sections in CLAT as such play a huge role in determining how well you perform overall in CLAT. And as you know, we have three sections within CLAT, that is English, logical reasoning, and legal reasoning, all of which form the verbal section of CLAT itself. And three whole sections will determine how well you perform in CLAT, which is why reading as a skill is essentially important for how well you perform in CLAT. But in today's video, what we're going to be looking at is not how you improve your reading skills for CLAT, but how reading as a skill is not just going to help you for CLAT, but is also going to be helping you for law school and life beyond CLAT in any way whatsoever, right? So as you all know, CLAT is not the end, right? There is going to be life after CLAT. There is going to be, you're going to get into law school. After 5 years, you're going to get into some kind of law firm, or maybe practice as an advocate, maybe go abroad to do an LLM, or like absolutely anything whatsoever. The opportunities are limitless. But one thing which remains constant if you are in the legal field is that reading is a skill which you perform every single day. And I'm not talking about reading like you are reading a book of fiction, where you're just skimming through the passages, where you are just reading the story of it, not looking at the details of what the words say, but we're talking about reading wherein you're expected to critically analyze what is given there. It's very heavy texts, and there's a lot of difficult vocabulary which is being used, and the structure of the passage itself is a little complicated and not very easy reading, right? And that is the kind of reading that you will be doing in the future, even after CLAT, on a daily basis. And as a lawyer, you will be expected to do this every single day. So this is a skill which is important, not just for you to crack CLAT and enter into a good premier university, but also at the same time, this is going to determine how well you do in life, in your career as a lawyer, or in any profession which is even remotely related to law. So the CLAT is not the end. It's always just a means to the end. And that is what you need to keep in mind when you are thinking about the verbal section CLAT, that you are preparing for something which is much beyond the scope of just one single examination. It is for the purposes of improving your life in general over the course of how many ever years you decide to practice in the field of law, right? So when you get into law school, as you must have heard, and you must be very excited about all of this, you have so many different opportunities and activities that you will be indulged in. And one of these most important ones is that of moot court competitions. I'm sure a lot of you are excited to be participating in moot courts and increasing your advocacy skills and showing off how well you can present an argument in front of a judge and convince and win a case for your team as such, right? So this is something which is an essential part of law school, and something which I personally enjoyed as well when I was in law school. And this is something which almost every law student somehow or the other involves themselves with. And for this purpose, for the moot court competition, you will be expected to read a lot of heavy material, a lot of case laws, a lot of statutes, not just Indian statutes. We're talking about international laws as well, and international treaties, etc., where you'll be having to read through all of this and understand what is the most appropriate one for you, and then gather all that information and apply it to the facts of the case, and then make a very convincing argument out of all of this, right? So this is a very exciting activity by itself, but if you're not well prepared for this, you can struggle with this. And that is one aspect where your reading skills as such that you improve for the purposes of CLAT will come in handy even as soon as you go into law school. So moot court competitions is one place where you will be expected to do this kind of expansive reading and very difficult reading as such, which involves a lot more than just reading and understanding the meaning of the words that's given there, but also going in deep as to understanding what the essence of the passage is, or what is between the lines, or like making critical arguments as to why this can be right and why this will be wrong, right? So that's one aspect of law school. The other aspect of law school, which you will be doing almost every single day, even for your classes, for your class projects, for your examinations, is legal research. And legal research is something which is extremely important, irrespective of where you end up working within the field of law, irrespective of whether you're going to be working at a high-flying corporate law firm, or you're going to be working as an advocate practicing as an advocate in any court. Legal research is something that you will have to do, and you will need to learn how to do while you are in law school. Now, law school is going to prepare you on how to identify which cases is going to be important to you, which laws are going to be important to you. But reading skill as such is something which they will expect you to have already known, right? And this is where you as a student will be expected to understand what is important, what is not important. And just by reading a particular passage, they will expect you to know what is being said as well as what is not being said, because it is equally important to know why certain things are mentioned in the paragraph, as well as knowing why certain things cannot be derived from that particular paragraph. And this is where the verbal sections in CLAT will help you hone this skill, because the more you practice for all of this, the more well prepared you are for law school in general, because legal research is something which is essential, which is inevitable for any law student when you go to law school. And the final thing that you will be doing, which you're almost bound to be doing as a law student, is that of general reading, right? Now, this is not just for the purposes of your examinations, but also for like general awareness purposes, because as a law student, you're expected to be aware of the surroundings that you are in. So you will be expected to read newspapers, articles, and general day-to-day affairs of what is going on all around in the world, so that you can adapt yourself to all of these changes, right? So these kinds of general reading as such is something which will be expected of you, which you will be doing every single day. So if you can improve your reading skills, if you can do that right now, even before you get into law school, and if you can perfect it so well that you can crack CLAT, then your general reading on a day-to-day basis will become so much more useful for you, because you will realize what exactly is that you need, and what you're getting out of it is particularly useful for you as with regard to what your objectives are, right? So these are the different aspects as to how reading skill as such is extremely important for you, because there are so many wide applications for having a very, very good set of reading skills, because you cannot understate how important it is, especially in the legal field, because of the fact that we as lawyers, we as law students are expected to know and understand the meanings of words and difficult statements and difficult paragraphs, wherein you have so much information that is just being thrown at you, right? And this is where we tell you that in law school, it's not just about reading case laws and reading statutes. You also have so many other aspects of reading which you wouldn't have even anticipated, right? So this is where you will have to read old cases, old books, which are outdated even, to understand the kind of arguments that were presented at a particular point in time. And all of these material that you will come across will normally be very dense. They will not be written in a way that it's easy for you to consume, right? And that is where your reading skills will come in handy, because if you're able to derive the most important aspects of it from reading particularly difficult set of paragraphs or set of literature, that is where you will be able to stand out from the rest of the students along with you, that your reading skills will be able to set you apart from the others who are doing the same thing in law school along with you, right? So you have different examples, like you'll have cases, you'll have different kind of codes, you'll have sample contracts maybe which you will have to examine, and you'll have different kind of briefs, different court decisions, and you'll have different kinds of evidence that you will have to analyze, and then understand critically where exactly you need to apply your skills there, and understand what is required of you, and then particularly point out to that particular aspect, right? And that is where your reading skills will be able to refine that particular information to what you need and make the words work for you, right? And this kind of reading, like I told you before, is very exacting. It's being able to identify what is the right thing, what is the wrong thing, and it's a very precise mode of reading in comparison to the kind of reading that you would have been used to until now in school. So these kinds of things will involve comparison between two texts, analysis of one particular aspect of a text, and then applying a certain principle that you have read to certain facts of the case. So these are the kinds of things that you will have to do as a part of law school when you come across the wide variety of activities and the opportunities that you will be presented with when you get into law school, right? So that is why we tell you that the verbal section as such should not be looked at as just another stepping stone to get into a good university or to the institution that you want to enter into, but it's also about developing yourself and developing your skills for a much better career ahead of you. Because if you can do this right now, because the difficult bit is about learning the law. These kind of reading skills are something which you can develop as very easily, even right now, even before you enter into law school. So once you have this kind of preparation already done, you will have the exact tools that you need to be able to succeed in law school and also succeed as a lawyer once you finish law school, right? So this is a fundamental aspect that you need to keep in mind while you are preparing for CLAT, and keep in mind that this is something which you are doing not just for the benefit in the near future, but this is laying the foundation for absolutely everything that you will do in the field of law in the future, and will determine where exactly you are going to go and where you will reach at the end of, say, 5 or 10 years, and you can prepare your mind for that, right? And that is where we again try to tell you that this kind of a reading exercise as such should be looked at in that kind of a mindset, and always keep in mind that you're doing this for the benefit of a very, very long-term prospects, and not just for the purpose of cracking an exam. So always keep that in mind while putting in the necessary effort that you need to do for reading, because at the end of the day, reading skills are something which can be very easily developed as long as you have the right attitude and the right discipline to be able to develop it, because all it needs is practice. The more and more you practice, the better you're going to get at it. And once you have that in your hand, it's an incredible tool for you to be able to be successful, not just in CLAT, but also in life and in your career, right? And that brings us to the end of this video. If you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out at query@sriramlawacademy.com. And please do visit our website for a lot more information regarding these kinds of topics. We will come again with another video soon relating to the verbal sections and other sections of CLAT as well. Until then, best wishes from the Sriram team.